And this has been my kitchen. Smells like yakisoba to me. Ah, you got me right when I was going to be cooking something. And I bet you were wondering, where in the hell have you been? Well, would you believe I've been busy with a film, busy with other filming, busy with filming this and that and the other thing that I couldn't have time to cook? Well, that's not true. I actually did find time to cook, but you already knew all the recipes that I was cooking anyway. But today I decided to bring back Cooking with SonicBlu with a huge improvement on a recipe that we've done before. Now, a few years back, I showed you how to make a Americanized chicken yakisoba with those big fat udon noodles. Remember those things? Well, this time we are going to go traditional Japanese chicken yakisoba. And the recipe differs greatly from Japan and America, because in America you need the chicken or beef, depending on what you want, and the thick udon noodles and lots of yakisoba sauce, and maybe some green onion and bean sprout. But the traditional Japanese will add finely shredded cabbage and carrots. And that's all they will use, is cabbage and carrots. You can add other things if you want to, as long as it's got the main bits, and of course not to forget the udon noodles. And this time we are going for well, I guess you would call them thinner. They almost resemble linguine noodles, only smaller and with a different flavor. These are Japanese udon noodles.
Literally, U-D-O-N.
Yeah, udon.
Udon. Yeah.
That you can buy in an Asian market, or you can find them in the Asian section of your grocery store.
Some of them. Like Giant Eagle seems to carry ethnic foods a lot more.
Yeah.
That's where we found that one, I think, right?
Yeah, Giant Eagle.
I love Giant Eagle.
And then you turn it around to the back.
Made in America.
No. These are traditional Japanese udon noodles. Now look at the packaging. It looks very authentic, doesn't it? It looks like it was made by the Japanese. But you turn it around, and what does it say in big bold letters? Product of Australia. Hey mate, toss me over those udon noodles, mate. I reckon we'll be cooking us some Japanese food. But anyway, we're going to take out our Australian udon noodles.
Make of that what you will.
And I'm going to be careful about them too, because they're a lot more delicate than the thicker variety that you find in the other packaging. Now look at the Australian. When they package their udon noodles, they go all out. They put these little bands around them to hold them in place and to
That's a good idea.
It makes them look very authentic Japanese, because the Japanese are always bundling things together. I don't know, but we are going to use this whole package of udon noodles, and we're going to make some traditional Japanese yakisoba. To make this job so much easier, you have to have one of these.
Don't stick your finger in there.
No, do not stick your finger in there if you want them diced and chopped. This is an onion chopper. It is an onion dicer. It dices onions, celery, pretty much any vegetable you have, maybe even tomatoes. We haven't tried it on tomatoes yet. And we're talking about using this to chop up all of our little baby carrots here. So, and I'm running out of room, no counter space here, but I'm going to set myself up over here to do these baby carrots. Baby carrots.
Baby.
And all you got to do is just take a couple of them. You get them started by pressing them down into the blades here. And then you just push it down. They're chopped.
Yay!
Look at that. So much easier than chopping them yourself and shredding them yourself. This just does the work for you. And look at that. We're going to do this whole bag in the time it takes us to do maybe 4 or 5 of these. We'll have the entire bag done. And we can do 3 at a time if we want to. Let's take 3 at a time and see how well that works. Look at that. Haha. Does 3 at a time. Let's see if we can do 4 at a time. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Baby carrots, not a problem with the onion chopper. I swear Consumer Fox loves this device, and so do I. It makes so much, it cuts your work in the kitchen by a lot. It really does. And you just put those onions, or put those carrots down there, or anything you happen to have. Oh, uh-oh. There we go. And sure enough, all of those baby carrots took us, what, about a couple of minutes to do. And what I like about this thing is there's a measuring device on the side of it so that you can measure how much vegetables you're chopping. And we have chopped almost 2 cups of baby carrots. And let's look and see what they look like too. Doesn't this look beautiful? This does a really insanely good job in cutting your vegetables. And I really wonder how I got along without one of these. But once I tried this,
totally worth $7.
It was totally worth $7. Now look at all those carrots. Nicely diced up, perfect, and it's better than shredding them finely because you don't have to lose sight of them when you're cutting them, and you won't risk cutting your fingers off either.
It's always nice.
Yeah, and you can actually cut them big enough chunks to where you can actually taste the carrot when you eat your yakisoba, which I think is very important. Because if you shred them, you barely taste the carrot as it is. What we're going to do is we're going to take our udon noodle, and we're going to remove the bands, just drop them right in the water. Do the same thing with this one. Remove the band and drop them in the water.
Let me grab one of these.
Okay.
It's like little pieces of paper.
Yep. Okay, now what we're going to do is carefully moisten these noodles. We're going to push them down. Now once they get sort of moist, they'll just start bending instead of breaking, and we'll just kind of push them casually into the water here. That way, once they're submerged in the water, we'll be able to cook them up just perfectly. What we're going to do is go ahead and let that submerge. Get them loose enough to where we can actually toss it as it boils. And I had to add more water to that, so now it's going to wait for it to boil back up again. But while we're waiting for that, we have many different items of interest here. Let me get rid of these bands. Now, a lot of this stuff you can find at an Asian market, like I said before, or your grocery store. Just do some looking around. But unfortunately, it's not easy finding yakisoba sauce unless you live near an Asian market. And for those of you that aren't as lucky enough to live near an Asian market, like us, it's very difficult to find this stuff. But I found that you can make it just as easily with some ingredients that you can find easily in your grocery store. We're talking about hoisin sauce, oyster sauce, soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce, and ketchup. A little bit of sugar to make it sweet. And all of this can be combined to make yakisoba sauce. I keep it in a squirt bottle so that it's easy to distribute. And it comes in very handy, and I'm going to show you the formula on how to make yakisoba sauce, and it'll taste just like Japanese yakisoba, which is really, really good. I've tried many different types of yakisoba sauces, and this happens to be my favorite brand. But the only problem is I can only find this stuff online. If you can't order anything online, but you have access to your grocery store, you can make it taste just like this, so you don't have to worry about that. All you have to worry about is what you have in your kitchen. So what we're going to do, and it's best to get one of these types of squirt bottles too. You can find them anywhere. You can find them at Walmart for 59 cents a 2-pack.
That's true.
What we're going to do is we're going to start off, and we are going to make a lot of this stuff because we go through it, and we'll use it in other Asian dishes too. Let us start with the tablespoon first, and we are going to get, let's make 5 tablespoons. Usually it's 1 tablespoon hoisin sauce and 1 teaspoon of all the other sauces Except for the soy sauce and the sugar, it's only half a teaspoon. But we're going to multiply it by 5. So that way, we'll fill up this bottle once again. So there's 1 tablespoon of hoisin, 2 tablespoons of hoisin sauce, going right into the bottle. And then all you got to do when you mix it is just shake it up really good, and you'll have yakisoba sauce that tastes just like that stuff I showed you. There's 3. You can never have too much yakisoba sauce. This goes good on anything. This 4. And I like to keep a big jar of hoisin sauce too, because I use a lot of that stuff too. And finally, 5 tablespoons of hoisin sauce. There we go. Nice thick hoisin sauce. And those of you that have never tried hoisin sauce before, remember when you get the stuff you have to refrigerate it after you open it. But for now we're going to set that aside. Another thing you have to refrigerate after you open it is oyster sauce. And this stuff is really thick, so you really have to shake this up really good. And look how thick it is. It's like thick ketchup or molasses. Yeah, there's 1. Whoa. It's hard to control too. That's why we're using a teaspoon. And we use 5 teaspoons of oyster sauce. You really got to shake this stuff out. This is really thick stuff. You really got to shake this stuff out to get it to come out. And then once it comes out, and it's hard to get it to stop. It's just one of those sauces. You just can't do a thing with it, but does it taste good? And now finally, 5. Whoa, see what I mean? Once it gets started, it's hard to stop. 5 teaspoons.
Is it harder than Pringles to stop?
And it's harder than trying to eat 1 Lay's potato chip. Because you can never eat just 1. Okay. While I'm thinking about it, let's give our noodles a stir.
Yeah, you don't want them to burn.
Well, they're not going to burn. They're just going to boil over. Especially with the amount of water that...
Oh, did you put oil in there?
Don't need to. Not with udon. This is made differently than Italian noodles. We didn't add a single drop of oil to this water.
It's not stuck at all.
It's not sticking at all. And the purpose of adding oil to your noodles is also to not let them stick while they're boiling. But some of the gluten-free kind, especially when they're made with rice,
oh my
no matter how much oil you add, it's still going to stick. All right. So those noodles are pretty much done. They don't take very long to cook. Now, let's go over to our Worcestershire sauce, and we only need a small amount of Worcestershire. So we're going to add 5 teaspoons of Worcestershire. We don't need much of this, just enough to give it a little bit of flavor. But basically, a lot of people will say to add the most in Worcestershire sauce, but that will make for very lousy tasting yakisoba sauce. And I tried it, how other people would do it, and it didn't taste good to me. It didn't taste like my favorite brand. It tasted like some other brand I had that I didn't like. But I found that by substituting that portion for hoisin sauce, made it taste just like my favorite brand. And that's what we're doing here tonight. We're going to duplicate this. Not that, this. And here it is. Now, next, let's get the ketchup. And we're going to add 5 teaspoons of ketchup. Finally, soy sauce, we only need 2.5 teaspoons. 2.5 teaspoons is what it amounts to. So 2.5 teaspoons of soy sauce. Oh, and this stuff comes out like crazy too, so you got to watch your control on this. There's 1.
Comes out like water.
It does, because it's very, very thin.
Yeah, it has nothing.
2.
Stick it together.
1/2. Okay, that's about 1/2. Okay, that's all the soy sauce we need. Put that aside. And finally, the sugar.
Yeah, you need sugar.
2.5 teaspoons of that too. So once we dry off our measuring spoon, we're going to grab our sugar and just measure out 2.5 teaspoons of sugar.
Yeah.
Rounded teaspoons, not heaping. Perfect. Then
Cap it off.
cap it off.
Cap
and
that.
Cap it off and shake it up. Now, another reason for putting it in a bottle like this, it's easy to shake up. You don't have to worry about a cap flying off across the room while you're shaking up your sauce. Shake for about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Make sure all the sugar is broken down. Make sure everything mixes perfectly. I'm in a shaking frenzy! Right. I think we're about ready
Yay!
to check the consistency of our sauce. Ooh, it smells good. It smells just like yakisoba sauce. Alright, now with all of our sauces put aside and our noodles pretty much ready to go, what we're going to do...
They look ready.
They are ready. Look at that. They don't take long to cook at all. We're going to drain off all the liquids. Try to keep the noodles in the pot. And this is pretty much how you do it without a strainer. By just draining all the water as you possibly can without losing any of your noodles. And you just drain it as much as possible. And that should be good enough. And then the rest of the water will keep them moist until you're ready to throw them into that wok, which has already been seasoned. This is one of those seasonable woks too. It's one where you pre-season beforehand. Now, first things first, we have about a good 2.5 pounds worth of chicken. We are going to start, make sure it's a clean wok because I kind of knocked some of the little drops of some sauce in there when I was shaking it. That's okay. It cleans up just as easily. And while we're waiting for it to heat up, we're going to add sesame oil.
Wow.
Okay.
I can really smell it.
It's got a very strong smell. And also a very pleasant flavor when it's cooked in. Now, all you need to do is just have a little bit of excess, more than just to cover the bottom. And especially if you have a non-seasoned wok or even a seasoned wok, you can just take it around the edges there and make sure it's nice and lubricated.
Will this sort of re-season it too?
This will.
Sweet, so you don't need to do it afterwards then.
No, you just rinse it and you wipe it, you're done.
Bam.
Alright. When this heats up, we're ready to throw that chicken down onto this. So we're also going to make sure to drain our chicken because this is now thawed and left behind some water from the ice. Not to mention some of the juices from the chicken too. Alright, test it out. And it's always best to gauge the heat of your cooking utensil by just waving your hand over it. And if you feel heat,
there's heat.
It's ready. There we go. It's ready. We get a couple of spoons. Alright. It's always best when you're working with stir fry
to stir fry.
2 utensils, 1 spoon, and if you don't have 2 spoons, use 1 spatula. That will work. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook our chicken until it's completely white. Is fry still on? Yeah, it's still on. Okay. I was going to say, I don't hear my sizzling anymore. It was just a quick sizzle. There we go. You can hear it sizzling again now. Now what we're going to do here is we are going to cook all of our ingredients separately. We're going to cook our chicken first, and then what we're going to do after that's done is going to set our chicken aside, and then we're going to cook our vegetables. And then we're going to add our chicken to the vegetables after they've been cooked up in the yakisoba sauce. And then when that's done, we're going to add our noodles at dead last because they're already cooked and they're very soft, so they won't take long to reheat back up again. I'm going to wait for that to cook in. While we're doing that, I'm going to rinse this out so that we can put the cooked chicken back in it. Because hot water or anything really hot will kill bacteria, including salmonella. That is why when you're usually in a kitchen and people do what I do, like these spoons to this raw chicken, after it's been cooked, your utensils will actually heat up along with whatever it is you're cooking, and therefore, since it's being exposed to heat as it is, you don't have to worry about rushing to the sink every 2 seconds to rinse these off, so you can keep doing this. Because since you're working with heat as it is, and these are already exposed to the heat at the hottest point in your cooking, You don't have to worry about salmonella getting onto your utensils as you cook with them. Because after all, raw chicken does hit your pan and it cooks up. You don't have to keep washing your pan every 5 seconds. So, same thing goes for your utensils.
Has to be a cat cameo in this.
Well, the cat makes cameos in pretty much everything.
That's why he has to be in it. It wouldn't be a common theme without it. Ah, that does smell really good.
Oh, it is. But wait till it's finally done. Alright, now we're getting that constant sizzling I like. But it's not sizzling enough to where it is satisfying. I like the sound of a good sizzle. Yet. I love the sound of a good sizzle. I'm used to the fajita sizzle. You know, something that sizzles so loud the entire household can hear it from down the street. That's how good of a sizzle I like to hear. But it doesn't have to be that sizzling to let you know that your chicken is cooking. Alright, so we're going to let that cook a little bit more. And I don't think we need to add any more to that except for ground ginger. Ground ginger will add a decent flavor to your chicken. And what we're going to do is just sprinkle some ginger on here. Get a lot of ginger there. There you go. Because like sesame seeds, or sesame oil, not sesame seeds, that's what you put on last. But like sesame oil, your ground ginger will also have a very strong flavor, but it's also a very pleasantly strong flavor. So, with the mixture of your sesame oil and your ginger, you will produce that Asian flavor that just cannot be beat. And that's all we need to season it with, is just ground ginger. You can add other things like onion powder,
well, I was thinking
garlic
like
powder.
nutmeg.
You can add a little nutmeg if you want to, but I never do.
Okay.
I always just use sesame oil, ground ginger, a little bit of onion, a little bit of garlic, which is what I'm going to add now. Here's the onion powder. Doesn't take much onion powder, just enough to counteract all that ground ginger, and the same with garlic powder. You can add garlic salt if you want to add some sodium. It's settled. There we go. It does that sometimes. There we go. A little garlic powder on top of that. And there we go. Continuing the stir fry. And now you have a very nice combination of spices, and that mixed with your ground ginger and your sesame oil produces a much better aroma. Now, I don't usually work with much sodium, mainly because, well, if the recipe doesn't call for that much sodium, like if you're making a salsa, it will call for lots of sodium. If you're making hot sauce, that will call for lots of sodium. But if you're working with actual food, I try to use as less sodium as possible, and that way you can add salt to your dishes to your taste. Because if you add too much to a dish that already has plenty of it, you might get too much sodium. And the reason why I don't cook with too much sodium is because of that reason. So, unless I'm working with sauces, if I'm working with sauces, then yes, I will add salt. Alright, now we are starting to get white chicken. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. So we're going to let this cook a little bit more before we pull it, just to make sure that everything is cooked through and through. But mainly because we want that seasoning to really blend in with all of your chicken pieces. And that, when it's done, will produce a very astonishing flavor for your chicken. A teaspoon per pound of chicken, you add ginger. And then you can add garlic powder and onion powder to taste, but I would just generally add a half a teaspoon of each.
Dang, that smells good.
And it does really smell good. Oh yes. And you can add other things too. You can add chili powder, you can add paprika, you can add all that other stuff, but me, personally, I just add the basics. And it will be just good enough. I mean, you can add everything but the kitchen sink. And I know quite a few people who would add every single spice they got in their spice rack. Let me tell you something, that's overkill. You don't want to do that.
Well, some people like that, you know.
Yeah, but it's usually people like that have never been to a cooking class before in their life. I guarantee you that, because if you say, I want to add every single spice on the spice rack, that chef is going to yank you out of that class faster than you can shake a stick at your food. It's not advised to, I mean, less is more, keep it simple, but if the recipe calls for it, and add it. But the whole purpose of seasoning is to offer that kind of flavor that brings it out of its blandness. And you don't want to overkill on flavor, because then you won't be tasting the original flavor of your chicken. Seasonings are supposed to enhance it, not take it over. So, we are about looking good on our chicken, and that is cooked through and through. Alright, so let's take all of our chicken and place it into our bowl and reserve it to the side, and then we can rinse out our wok and go to the next step. And it's one that I'm sure you'll find very amusing, because this, when we get to this point, is going to be very fast acting, because this is the easy part of the recipe right here. This is the very easy part of the recipe. All you're doing is just cooking up chicken. Once this is done, and once you're ready to add all those extra ingredients, it goes from pleasantly simple to, oh my god, I can't believe I'm going this fast. And I'll show you in just a moment what I mean. See, as you can see, it's lost its shine because you rinsed it and scrubbed it, and it's also less...
It is less
slick.
Yeah.
In order to bring this back up to what we need to use it for, turn on the heat again.
Wow, it's working.
Yep. And just add enough there. We're going to re-season this real quick so that we can work with it. And we are going to need an oven mitt, some paper towels. A quick lesson on seasoning your wok. Now, since I've already seasoned it before, I really don't need to season it as much as I did when I first started, because from the factory this has never been seasoned before, so you really have to put layers upon layers of sesame oil in your wok to season it. But since it's already been seasoned once before, you just have to do it once.
Felt like I was watching ballet.
Okay, then just start at the bottom, you work your way to the side, and voila, you've got a seasoned wok again.
You don't need to burn it in or anything?
No, you've already done that when you did your first seasoning. You already burned it in. But since it's already got its base season, or its base seasoning I should say, from the first time you seasoned it, just a quick job like that, and you're ready to go again. See how slick that is?
How often do you have to do the burning and seasoning?
Not very. Maybe once a year.
Okay.
It depends on how often you use your wok too. If you use it every day, and you scrub it every day, and you wash it every day, then you will need to use it. You re-season it from, say your first seasoning job.
Yeah.
Once a year.
Okay, well that's not too bad.
Otherwise, it's a one-shot deal. But if you use it constantly like that,
not much on there either.
Nope.
It must soak right in then.
It does. It just grabs it from your previous seasoning job.
Oh, that is so cool.
And holds it, and that will keep it sheen. As a matter of fact.
It is so shiny.
And now, are you ready? We are going to cook our vegetables first. Look at it jump! Look at it jump! Oh, there was a little piece of sauce in there, almost bouncing up and down. That means that we are ready to go.
Ooh, let's watch that again.
Okay, watch. One little drop of sauce. Watch it jump! Watch it jump! It's jumping. Well, it's bubbling now because that was a big drop. But it was jumping. It was jumping. First, we're going to add our cabbage. And then, your carrots. And you just squirt over with yakisoba sauce. Okay, just like that. Now you take your utensils and you begin stir frying your vegetables. Now you keep doing this until the cabbage is very cooked, as you say. You don't want firm veggies, and you also want to turn this down a little bit because you are working with vegetables. You don't want them to scorch the bottom of your wok, especially one of these. But after we're done with this, we just scrub it out again and season it. It'll look just like brand new. You know that you're ready to go when your cabbage starts to wilt a little bit. That's when you're ready to go to the next step. So quickly, go for your chicken. We're going to throw our chicken back into the mix and stir fry it in. Okay, here we go. You don't want to dilly-dally too much. Just mix it in, all your cabbage, all your carrots, all of your chicken.
All your base are belong to us.
Gets mixed together. Mix it together. Do this number, flip it. There you go. All right. That will help distribute your food evenly. See how uneven that was when we started, but when we flipped it like this, just a flick of the wrist, we'll get the bottom to the top to the bottom, the front to the back, and the back to the front, and there you have everything combined perfectly. So, that's the purpose of flipping your food. It basically uses a centrifugal force to evenly distribute your food that you're cooking. And it also evens everything out so that you don't have too much on one side of your pan, too much on the other side of the pan, or not enough in other areas. This evens it out perfectly so that you're ready for step number 3. This is why we keep a little bit of the water, because without water these will stick. But this will unstick when we go to this step. We're going to add some more yakisoba, just like this. Add a lot of it too, because this is going to unstick your noodles if they ever get stuck. Alright, grab your other 2 utensils and commence stir frying. And to make things easier, pick it up and put it down. Pick it up, put it down. Let gravity do the work. Pick it up, put it down. Pick it up, put it down. That will help.
Put it down. Toss
the bottom.
it in, toss it out.
It will help toss it better. It'll help the noodles to distribute. And look, like I said, your noodles are no longer stuck together. See that? It went from sticky to unsticky in nothing flat. This is what traditional yakisoba looks like. Not that cruddy stuff that I made before. That's Americanized yakisoba.
And he thought it was amazing back then.
It was amazing, but
to
not
you,
until
you had the real stuff.
When I had the real stuff, I will never go back to the old stuff again, ever. I mean, it's still good, but this is way better. This is way better. There you have it. There is yakisoba. It is done. This dish will impress anybody you happen to have in your home, whether they are distant relatives or even visitors from the Far East. They will love this dish, and I know I love this dish. And I hope that you try this recipe at home and let me know what you think of it, because this is a wonderful dish. And of course, a little extra yakisoba on the top never hurt anybody. There we go, and once across this way. And there we have Traditional Japanese Chicken Yakisoba. Try to say that 5 times fast. There you have it. Traditional Chicken Yakisoba. Try it for yourself and see just how easy it is and how fun it is to make. Because this not only is easy to make, but it's also very fun and also very delicious. So try it. You'll love it. I know I do. And the beauty part about making this amount is that there's plenty to go around, and there's plenty for leftovers, and there will be leftovers, but they won't last long if you taste this good. Personally, I like to tie mine with a little sprinkling sesame seed on the top. But you can add pretty much whatever you wish to it too. You can add green onion to it, you can add bean sprouts if you want to, you can add cauliflower if you want. As long as you have the cabbage, the carrots, the udon noodles, and the yakisoba sauce, then that's all you need to make chicken yakisoba. Of course you need the chicken too, or if you prefer it, beef or pork. Either meats will do for whichever dish suits your fancy. So in closing, I would like to say that this is SonicBlu. You're in our kitchen for cooking with SonicBlu, and may your dishes turn out to be just like this. As I always say, if you're not cooking good, you're not eating good. Perfect. So remember, hold on a second. So this is SonicBlu saying, well, hopefully your meals turn out just as good as this is right there. Try that again. And may your dishes turn out to be just like this, because the recipe that differs greatly from Japan. And trust me, I know yakisoba sauce, and I've tried many different brands, and my favorite brand, I can't remember the name. I'll just show it on the screen. That was 5, right? Or was that 4?
Oh no, I just watch.
I'll add one more just in case. I think that was 4. 5. Okay. That's
Don't
fine.
repeat what we do.
Shake it up. Shake it up.
You should play like "Shake It Up" or that "Shake Your Booty" song. I can do that
Shake,
sort of
shake,
fast
shake.
up.
Shake, shake, shake. Shake yourself. No, shake your yakisoba. No, that don't work. Just pretend I'm in like the parade and I'm like the beauty queen. Yeah, you can double as you can probably double as that too if you're like a beauty queen in a Macy's Day Parade. And
It's your practice.
You wave, but you just put a bottle in their hand, get it shook, and by the time they reach the end of the parade, your yakisoba sauce will be ready. All right, now what we're gonna do? Add some more dang it! Damn you, spoon! And the beauty part about making this amount, excuse me, I like to tie mine with a little sprinkling of sesame seed on the top. That is sesame seed, yes. I hope it's not minced garlic.
We can only hope.